This is a question from Amanda Burns. She's from Aurora, Colorado.
Okay.
She's going to be working on a site in California. Based off this question, I'm thinking it's probably going to be in Los Angeles somewhere. She's saying it has a potential oil well on the site.
Ooh.
And she wants to just know, I guess, kind of a broad idea of what she's at risk for, either going into acquisition, purchasing, and developing on this site. And this is something that we're currently dealing with, so I feel this is kind of something that we'll be able to answer quite well right now.
Yeah. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about the site we're dealing with without any specific details, but
Yeah,
in general.
So we're working with a client in Los Angeles. The site is 2 parcels next to each other. One has a single family home on it. The next parcel is empty land. Based off of previous reports, there are 3 oil wells on it. We actually went and did a phase 2 investigation, so we used a geoprobe or a push drill to sample, and that's the way how we collect groundwater, soil, but specifically on this site we collected soil and soil vapor, and so these are big concerns for a development that is going to be a multifamily structure, a sort of high-rise. In our case, the client is building a sort of high-rise structure for seniors to live. So we did that sampling. There's a lot of factors that go into this. There's a lot of different chemicals that come out.
Oh, really fast. Sorry, but you're going to be posting some pictures from the drilling that we did at the oil well,
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah, we have video
So
and picture.
That's going to come out, what, next week?
About next week. So
Okay,
we have picture of this. But so essentially we have worked with this. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Investigation is necessary, so don't even try to think that you can get around it or just excavate it. That is part of the process.
What was her name again?
This is Amanda Burns.
Amanda, so to kind of jump on what Thomas was mentioning, that if you're in the due diligence process or you already know it has oil wells and you're purchasing the property, I would definitely negotiate a longer due diligence term, and I would definitely have that conversation with the seller about the fact that if you're going to be redeveloping the site, especially into a mixed use or residential, you're going to need to spend some money in investigating it, and it would be in your best interest to do that up front so that you know of any potential liabilities associated with the oil well, especially finding out when it was most recently abandoned. If it hasn't been abandoned recently, then more than likely the DOGR, the Department of Oil and Gas something, will require you to re-abandon it, which may expose other issues that may be lying underneath. And so your best bet would be to investigate that up front, negotiate a longer due diligence period, and while you will be spending a little bit more money, but you will have a level of assurance to make sure you know what you're dealing with as it relates to the oil wells. So that's very, very critical, and especially sounds like you're going to plan on redeveloping the site. This is going to be a question that's going to come about from LA Fire Department and that whole process. So best to do it now and know what you're in for versus being surprised once you already own it.
And then, doing the investigation here, make sure that you do your research on who you use as your environmental consultant. There's a lot of factors that go into this. You have to submit drilling permits. You have to, provide dig alerts. There's a lot of logistical, things that go into this. So your GPR scan, so that when you drill, you don't hit anything underground. It is subsurface. You don't know what it's there. For example, on this site, we did GPR scanning in an area. We got it cleared. The driller drilled and ended up going through wood, which wouldn't be picked up and didn't get picked up at all by our GPR scan. Luckily, we were able to get through, but just a tip for you, there is a lot of factors that play into this, and working with somebody that has experience doing this and asking the right questions will be beneficial for you moving forward in this process.
And typically it would take at least 3 to 4 weeks on a very expedited range, because here in LA, it'll take up to 10 days to get the permit approved initially. Mm-hmm. So assuming that you have everything else done in between that time frame, normal turnaround, let's say it's a 1 or 2 day drill date, normal turnaround to get results back is 3 to 5 days, depending on the lab you choose, which obviously costs a lot more. But then your consultant is going to need some time to analyze the results, provide you with the proper guidance, et cetera, et cetera. So I would definitely factor in minimum 3 weeks. That's like literally best case scenario, and up to 5-6 weeks to really give yourself the time so that you're not rushed in any type of investigating. And what we always recommend is have your consultant budget out more samples, more borings in advance, and maybe take the samples but maybe not submit them, because the last thing you want to do is spend $15,000, $20,000 for an investigation and still not have all the answers you want, because your consultant wanted to save you a couple $1,000s and maybe didn't go as deep or as wide as they should have. So it's better to let them know that, hey, I'm okay with taking some extra samples and holding it and analyzing it if needed, versus having to go back and drill again to get more information further down the road.